Hey Lisa, thank you so much for joining me for this case study today. Before we begin, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business?
Hi, Swapna. Thank you so much for having me on today. My business is all about words. So I'm a coach and writer who helps people express the true value of what they do to the world across their website and social content.
Yeah.
I've always loved words myself, so it's in my blood.
Wow. And yeah, by working with you, I can see how amazing you are with words and the way you make it really simple for your clients. I think that's the key to what you do is like make the whole entire process of getting these words out really simple for your clients. So tell me, what was it? What was that point where you decided to work with me? And were there any specific challenges that you were facing in your business?
Yeah, there was a real distinct crossroads that I came to. So obviously, being someone who works with words and helps other people with their words, it sometimes seems strange to need that help yourself. But the reality is we can never really do this. We're too close to our own work.
Yeah.
And in my business, I'd had come to a crossroads where I'd been copywriting for the last 3 years in a full-time capacity, and I knew that I wanted to step into coaching so that I was going to help clients be more empowered to write for themselves. And from that, though, as a copywriter, I was struggling to bring content together for my clients
Yeah.
because often I didn't have a voice of my own. I was writing in the voice of everybody else. As
Yeah.
a coach, and I launched a personal brand, and I really felt that needed to be authentic and content driven. And
Mm,
because I stand for that authentic content and storytelling, I had to be doing that, like the walk the talk. So
mm,
when I came to you, I was looking for somebody who could guide me on building that content driven brand so that I wouldn't just be a scattered approach to content, it would be strategic and cohesive. And I knew that I was purposefully creating content.
right. So these are usually the kind of challenges that clients, hit when they come to work with me. Where usually when they are trying to reposition their business or if they're evolving in their business and want to, take their business to the next level. But some of the things that I hear from my potential clients is, that they need to probably work on their brand a little bit, like visual brand, or they don't have time to work on all of this stuff right now. Did you have any doubts like that before working with me? And how did you work through them?
Yeah, I think time is always a challenge. I knew that because I'm copywriting at that point, I was transitioning into my coaching role. So I
Right,
still had about 70% of my work coming from copywriting clients,
right.
which meant I was always working to a deadline.
Yeah.
Um, and then bringing on extra clients in the coaching capacity just increased my workload. So when I came to you, it was like that double-edged sword of, I really want help with content, but how am I going to find the time to write this content?
Yeah.
But I also was very committed to the process. So because I'd decided to, take the coaching with you, I was going to then feel there as an accountability that to deliver on what I made promises to do, and knowing that accountability just would find time. Like you've said before, the task fits the time we allow. So shrink the time, and suddenly you can find more of it. So that seemed to be the biggest challenge, and then the mindset to just say, well, yeah, I can, find that extra 2 hours a week, even if it's a half an hour a day, to create those content elements that we talked about.
Yeah. And I think it's all about priorities, right? Once you prioritize it, you find the time, you find the resources to do everything that you want to do.
Mm.
So, when we started out with a business modeling session, and we
Hmm.
used the business canvas to build your business model. And we talked about the biggest focus that we had during that session was your target market and understanding what are their, pains and gains and what do they really want to shift in their lives, which I personally believe really helps create the right business foundation for you. What
Mm.
was your biggest takeaway from that?
I just loved seeing it all mapped out, and the simple thing, even like the color coding, I could just suddenly see, because I've got different, like most people, different and diverse elements to my business. So
Yeah.
I've got my done for you copywriting service, which is going gangbusters. Then I've got my workshops, and then I've got this new element that I'm trying to grow. And I know they all have very different, they serve different markets, but it's very hard to actually untangle that, even in words on paper. So the business model canvas just allowed us to map those elements out, color code them, and then I think it was, all of the oranges were the relevant to my coaching business right now. So it allowed me just to create some visual separation and see how the pains, the gains related exactly to the service then I provided. I love the way you had it so simply set out with like jobs to be done and deliverables and blah blah blah, and it was just so clear. At last I could go, yes, okay, that's what it's all about. That's what I knew it was all there, but I hadn't seen it visually, and it was so good.
Yeah, I think even though it is like really deep work, you really deep dive into your clients and your services and your business, but having it all on one sheet of paper, so to say, or in one place, it's almost like your brain has been taken out of you and organized somehow, and it
Yeah.
makes everything look really visually very simple and clean and understanding. So
Yeah.
another thing that we did was the story extraction session, and which again, personally, I'm biased about it, but I think it's just such a powerful exercise. And every time I take my clients through it, they have so many aha moments. And it's very simple. I'm just asking you questions, and we are just mining stories out of you. What
Mm.
was your experience with that?
Yeah, I was really looking forward to that session because I knew that I struggled to unpack my own stories, mainly because as soon as I started unpacking something, that critical mind would come in and say, well, that's rubbish, or that's not relevant, and you don't need to share that.
Yeah.
So you had that objectivity in that you were able to just say, just talk. And I knew I could permission to talk rubbish, but you'd also find the stuff in between it. And
Yes.
so that freedom allowed me to just wander, allow the mind to wander and share all sorts of different things. And from that you started to see the themes and the things that really have sort of brought me to the point where I am today
Yeah.
coming through in the stories I told. And it was a really great session, and the stories, then we picked out sort of the big themes that have been present throughout my life, just gave it some coherence that previously was really hard to find.
Yeah, and I think it also helps in understanding your content structure. What are the things that you want to
Mm.
talk about, and the themes that you want to bring into your content. Because once you look at your story, and it's somehow parallel to your client stories as well, so then you're able to really bring all of that into your content. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, it was
Really,
so
I'm very
good.
passionate about it. So we are still working together. We are still working as a client and coach. But what are your biggest takeaways from the work that we have done till now?
I think that the biggest practical takeaway has been having a social media strategy that is aligned with who I am as what I believe and what I want the world to know about me. So I think that's been really helpful to be able
Mhm.
to see how that translates into practical posts,
Yeah.
and that bringing in some diverse elements. So I really wanted to talk about exploration and adventure, and a lot of the adventures I take have that two-sided of the same coin kind of thing, where
Mm.
I'm exploring self at the same time as exploring like physical boundaries and personal challenges.
Yeah.
And I just had no idea how to bring that together. And
Mm.
you've helped to create that plan so that now I can actually talk really fluently about the adventures, but I can also talk about what it means to unpack yourself in effect through that adventurous journey.
Yes.
So it's been able to, and that feels very natural now because I'm able to share the life off the camera kind of thing. Life outside of Facebook looks very similar to life on Facebook because they're just really aligned. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's been the most practical change and a manageable change that I've made since working together. And into next year, we've obviously got different things planned, and you know, I'm hoping this social media starts to feel like second nature,
Yeah.
and then we can, you know, ramp up to the next level, which is a launch. So yeah, very exciting.
Yeah. So finally, if you were talking to someone who's considering to work with me, what would you tell them? Like, who am I a great fit for, and who should not consider working with me, probably?
Oh, I think that, you know, anyone who's really ready to roll up their sleeves and do the work, because I think in any coaching relationship, you want to have people that are prepared to be accountable for their own stuff.
Yeah.
So the desire to make some changes and then act on those conversations that we've had here, so
Yeah.
that we can just sort of, you kind of, you know, light the match and set the fire alight, and then you need to run with the fire. So I think someone who's like got that motivation and driven to act and find the time in their business,
Yeah.
and also someone who's ready to rethink things, you know, so that you can bring that authenticity in, and feel very much aligned. So, you know, if you're someone who wants to hide behind a big brand, or hide your personal life, for me that would be, it feels like you're a very aligned brand, and that you'll help people naturally who are in that same space. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I wonder if, having you earlier on in my life, I would have liked to have had you 6 months ago before I launched the new brand. So I
Mm.
think I probably, with hindsight, would have said, to the former Lisa, just before you're launching, get on board with that coaching, because it would have made the launch a lot more seamless and strategic than launch and then go, oh no, now I need some content and I haven't thought this through. So, but it's not been a problem to come to you with that, in that sort of state of, oh God, we need content right now. But it would definitely have been a good time before you got stuck into big changes to actually get that content and strategic advice. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's,
But I think it's perfect timing whenever it happens. I think it's all aligned.
yeah.
No, no worries. Thank you so much, Lisa, for taking time out to talk to me today and talk about our work. I am truly excited. First of all, because you are taking an amazing adventure. You are going for a climb in Kilimanjaro, which is like one of the bucket list items for probably everybody. But you're also coming back to a very exciting launch, which I am happy to be a part of, because I think it's a really cool program for anybody who wants to create a fabulous website on their own and be really empowered to bring their voice into the world. So I'm truly excited for that, and I hope that we have a smashing launch. And yeah, thank you so much for this today.
You're very welcome. It's been an awesome experience, and my first time working with a content coach. And so I can't, you know, sing your praises, Wiley. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much, Swapna.
Thank you.